Some time ago, by 7:30 in the evening, the rain had turned Ojota Motor Park into one large pot of brown soup. Water ran beneath the buses. Conductors shouted through the downpour, and passengers stood under every available zinc roof, holding their bags against their chests as though rainwater had started stealing luggage. The last bus traveling towards Abeokuta was already full, but the driver was nowhere to be found. His conductor, Smalley, had been lying to the passengers for almost 30 minutes. My driver dey come now now. He only went to ease himself. A large woman sitting beside a blue cooler looked at him suspiciously. For 30 minutes. Smalley spread his hands and said, Mama, I did not follow him inside now. How I go take no? The big woman was called Mama Risi. She was traveling to Abeokuta for her younger sister's baby's naming ceremony, which would hold the next morning. Inside her blue cooler were trays of fried chicken and assorted meats that she had prepared for the celebration. Since she entered the bus, she had warned everybody not to sit on it, lean against it, or even allow their bags to touch it. Beside her was Brother Titus, a thin man wearing a white shirt buttoned tightly to his neck. Nobody knew where he was going, but everybody already knew that he was a prayer warrior because he had announced it 3 good times. At the back was Tola, a final year nursing student who had been trying to sleep with her bag on her lap. Beside her was Sodiq, a mechanic apprentice with black grease permanently living beneath his fingernails. The last passenger was Mr. Durojaye, a tired civil servant who had spent the first 20 minutes complaining about the government, then the rain, then the seat, and then the fact that Smalley had refused to reduce his fare by 200 naira. Then, at exactly 7:40, Babagoke finally drove into the park. He entered too fast, pressed the brake sharply, and stopped inches away from a wooden bench. Smalley jumped aside. Babagoke, do you want to kill me before we leave Lagos? Babagoke did not even answer him. He climbed down quickly and looked behind the bus. One of the headlights was broken. Mud covered the front bumper, and the number plate was hanging lower than usual. Smalley walked closer. Wetin do this, boss? A goat was crossing the road. Smalley looked at the bumper. Did the goat carry hammer? Babagoke bent down and started pouring sachet water over one side of the bumper. Smalley noticed a dark stain running down with the mud. Babagoke, what kind of goat has this type of blood? Babagoke stood up immediately. Do you want us to travel, or do you want to conduct a post-mortem examination for the goat? He pushed the empty sachet into Smalley's hand and entered the driver's seat. The passengers started complaining at once. Mama Risi leaned forward and said, Oga driver, we have been waiting here since before the rain became this angry. Brother Titus raised one hand and said, this delay may be spiritual. Then Mr. Dorojaye hissed, oh yes, everything is spiritual to Nigerians, except bad planning. Babagoke then started the engine and said, anybody who is tired of waiting can come down, no be by force. Nobody moved. Smalley climbed inside and slammed the door shut. That is what I thought, Babagoke said. Then he pulled the bus out of the park. For the first few minutes, the only sounds were the rain hitting the roof, the old engine struggling, and Smalley arguing over money and change. Mama Risi had paid him with a 5,000 naira note. Smalley stared at it as though she had handed him a court summons. Mama, where do you expect me to find change? Inside your pocket. But my pocket is not a bank now. Then why did you shout that you had change before I entered? Smalley frowned. That one was for encouragement. Mama Risi pulled the blue cooler closer to herself. You had better encourage yourself to find my money before I change it for you. The passengers laughed, but Babagoke did not laugh. He was too focused. He kept checking the side mirrors. Every few seconds, his eyes moved from the road to the mirror and back again. Smalley noticed and asked, "What are you looking for?" "Face your work, my guy." "I am facing it. You are the one driving, as if someone is following us." Babagoke tightened both hands around the steering wheel. The rain became heavier as they left the busy part of Lagos behind. Shops reduced, street lights became fewer, and darkness swallowed the road ahead. Fola looked through the window. For a moment, she thought she saw someone standing beside the road. It was an elderly woman wearing white. The woman did not carry an umbrella. She simply stood inside the rain with her head bent slightly. Tola turned to look properly, but the bus had already passed. Hmm. She said nothing. Many strange things could look normal during heavy rain, and many normal things could look strange. A few minutes later, Smolly noticed Babagoke was checking the mirror again. "Babagoke, that goat where you hit, he get relatives?" Babagoke looked at him sharply. "I said you should face your work, Mr. Man." Smolly turned to the passengers. "You people have heard my oga. If one goat family blocks this road, all of you should remember that I asked him this question way earlier." This time, even Mama Risi laughed, but Babagoke did not. Instead, he drove faster. Behind them, far inside the rain, something white appeared briefly in the middle of the road. Then it disappeared. After nearly 40 minutes of driving, Smolly stood up and wiped the fog from the windscreen with an old towel. They were approaching the first junction where two passengers had planned to come down. He leaned towards the door and said, "Get ready. We don't reach the junction no." Babagoke reduced his speed. The passengers expected to see, the usual roadside filling station, a row of food sellers and motorcycles waiting beneath umbrellas. Instead, the bus rolled to a stop in front of a cemetery. Nobody spoke at first. A rusty iron gate stood a few meters away. Behind it were rows of old graves, wet trees, and broken concrete crosses. Then a faded board above the gates read, "Peace Rest Cemetery." Smolly opened the door halfway, looked outside, and quickly closed it again. "Ah, Ogami, this is not the junction, no." Mr. Durojaye leaned forward. "Driver, where have you carried us to?" Babagoke stared at the windscreen. He looked confused, but his confusion seemed mixed with fear. He cleared his throat. I must have missed one turning. It's raining heavily." Sodiq looked through the window. "You did not miss one turning. We have been driving straight since." Uh-huh. The rain might have covered the signboard. Mr. Durojaye adjusted his glasses. The rain covered the entire filling station too? Haba. As they were arguing, Brother Titus sat up and said, "Everybody should remain calm." Mama Sisi hugged her cooler. "Nobody was talking to you, Oga." Brother Titus ignored her and continued, "There are places that look ordinary during the day, but become spiritually active at night." Mr. Durojaye sighed. So the cemetery was sleeping before now. Babagoke shifted the gear. "No problem, no problem. I will turn back, eh?" He reversed, turned the bus around, and drove away. Smalley remained standing beside him. "Which road did you enter?" "The old service road now." "But there is no cemetery on the old service road." "Are you the driver?" "No, but I get eyes." Babagoke pressed the accelerator harder. For the next 15 minutes, they passed several things they recognized. They passed a closed petrol station and a green roof. They crossed a narrow bridge. They saw a roadside church with a large signboard promising 3 days of total deliverance. Then everybody relaxed slightly. Mama reopened her argument about change. "Smalley, where is my balance?" "Mama, let us first survive this journey now." "I cannot survive without my money. Oh. Find me my money, I beg." Brother Titus turned to her. "Madam, Money is not everything. Mama Risi looked at his shoes. Oga, then remove your shoes and give them to me. Oh, Rishi, Rishi. But Titus faced the window immediately. Smalley wiped the windscreen again. Oga, there is another bus stop ahead, oh. Baba Goke slowed down. The closed petrol station should have been on their right. A small bakery should have been on the left. Instead, the cemetery appeared again. Uh-uh. The same rusty gates stood in front of them. The same faded signboard hung above it. The same wet trees bent in the wind. This time, the gate was closed. Ha! Laughter disappeared from all of their faces. Baba Goke stepped on the brake so suddenly that Mama Risi's cooler slid forward. She grabbed it with both hands. Driver, do not mix my chicken inside this cooler. Oh. Baba Goke did not respond. Smolly looked behind them. The road they had just traveled was empty. There were no headlights. There were no shops. There were only darkness and rain. Tola brought out her phone and opened the map. The blue location arrow spun in circles. This map cannot locate us. So Dick checked his phone, and my network has disappeared suddenly. Mr. Durojayi held his phone up. Mine too. Brother Titus raised both his hands. This is exactly what I was saying. Mama Risi glared at him. You have said many things, Oga. Choose one useful one. Baba Goke turned the bus around again, and as he did, the headlights swept across the cemetery gate. They saw something red lying on the ground near one of the pillars. Tola leaned towards the window. It was a woman's sandal. One bright red sandal lay inside the rain. The strap was broken. Baba Goke saw it. His foot slipped from the clutch and the engine coughed. Smalley turned to him. Do you know the sandal, Ke? Baba Goke restarted the engine by force. How will I know somebody's sandal? Smalley, you two they ask stupid questions. It's because you looked at it as if he was calling your name. Sit down, my guy. Smalley did not sit down. Baba Goke, what happened before you came to the park? Baba Goke drove away without answering. Baba Goke took another road. This time, he explained every turning before making it, as though speaking loudly would prevent the road from changing this time. We're going through the market road now. After the bridge, we will join the main expressway. Sodiq watched the road carefully. They passed the church signboard again, crossed the narrow bridge, reached the green-roofed petrol station, and everything was exactly where it should be. Then the petrol station lights went off at once, and darkness covered the road. A few seconds later, the cemetery appeared right in front of them. Mama Risi screamed. Brother Titus screamed even louder. Everybody turned to look at him. He adjusted his collar and said, I was just releasing a spiritual warning. Mr. Durojaye shook his head. That warning sure sounded afraid. Baba Goke stopped the bus. This time, the cemetery was closer. The gate was no longer several meters from the road. It seemed to be standing directly beside the bus. Water ran down the iron bars. The red sandal was still there. A faint sound came from behind the gate. It sounded like a woman crying. Hey! Smalley locked the door immediately, even though nobody asked him to. Tola started listening carefully, and then the crying stopped. For several seconds, they could only hear the rain. Then something knocked against the side of the bus. Bum! Mama Risi gripped her cooler. Something knocked again, twice this time. Bum! Bum! Brother Titus began to pray. Every spirit that entered this road without transport fare, I command you, return to whence thou comest. Smalley looked at him. Please don't insult it, though. Then the knocking came again the third time. Sodiq switched on his phone torch and pointed it through the window. And lo and behold, nothing was there. Baba Goke started the bus and sped away. He drove without speaking. Sweat covered his entire forehead. even though the night was cold. Smalley held the dashboard. Slow down, Oga. This bus has one headlight. Mind your walk. I know my boss. You also knew the road, but the road has disagreed with you more than 3 times now. Babagoke ignored him. They drove for another 20 minutes. So they checked the dashboard. The fuel gauge has dropped drastically. Mr. Dorojaye looked at him. What does that mean? It means we are truly moving, Oga, but we are standing in one place and maybe just imagining the movement. Tola checked the time. The clock is also moving. Mama Risi swallowed. Hell! Then why are we not going anywhere? Waiting they happen. Nobody answered because nobody knew what was going on. They reached another junction and the cemetery appeared again. This time, the gate was wide open. The red sandal was right in the middle of the road. Babagoke swerved to avoid it and drove them into a pothole with a violent bang. Mama Lissy's cooler jumped. She held it against her body and shouted, if anything happens to this cooler of meat, I will join whatever is haunting this driver. Then the bus stopped. The engine was on, but one of the windscreen wipers froze halfway across the glass. Then through the clear space, Tola saw the front bumper. The rain had washed away most of the mud, but a dark brown stain remained near the broken headlights. Something pale was trapped beneath the edge of the bumper. Tola stood up. Driver, switch on the inside light first. Babagoke did not move. Switch it on now. Smalley reached over and pressed the switch. The bus became brighter. Tola pointed through the windscreen. That is blood. Babagoke laughed. I told you that I hit a goat now. Tola shook her head. No, I work in a hospital. That stain is not fresh anymore, but it looks like blood. There is also fabric cut beneath this bumper. Mama Risi slowly moved away from the front seat. Smalley stared at Babagoke. What did you hit? A goat. What color was this goat? Babagoke hesitated. Black. Then Sodiq looked through the window. The fabric under your bumper is red, oh. Then Mr. Durojayi leaned forward. Perhaps the goat was wearing a red dress. Babagoke hit the steering wheel. I said it was a goat. After he said it, the faint crying returned. This time, it didn't come from the cemetery. It came from beneath the bus. Hey, it remained made all of them fly come off from that bus. Everybody shushed. Then the phone started to ring, and the ringing tone sounded muffled as though the phone was trapped under metal. It rang several times and stopped. Then it started again. Sodiq reached for the door to flee, but Babagoke grabbed his arm. Nobody is going outside. Sodiq pulled away. Why? This place is not safe. Smalley's voice became very calm. You were not worried about our safety when you carried us here, oh. Then Babagoke locked the door from his side. The phone continued ringing beneath them. Each time he rang, they would all jump in fear. On the fourth ring, a woman's voice drifted from inside the cemetery. Please, help me. Mama Risi covered her mouth. Brother Titus stopped praying. Babagoke put the bus in gear, but the engine went off. He tried again. Nothing happened. The cemetery gate started to move. It opened slowly, making a long metal sound that entered the bus and seemed to scrape against everybody's bones. Smalley looked at Babagoke. This road will not release us until you tell us what you did, though. For nearly 1 minute, my paddies, nobody moved. The phone beneath the bus stopped ringing. Rain beat against the roof, and Babagoke held the steering wheel with both hands and stared at the open cemetery gate. Then Sodiq broke the silence and said, I can bring out the phone. Babagoke shook his head. You are not going anywhere. Mama Risi stood up. You had better open that door before I use this cooler and massage your head. Babagoke turned to her. You don't understand what is outside. Mama Risi's eyes widened. You are the only person here who understands it clearly. And that is the problem. Smalley unlocked the door, and Sodiq climbed down with his phone torch and the wheel spanner. But Titus immediately moved into the middle seat. Smalley looked at him. You were sitting near the door before, Oga. But Titus shook his head. No, a prayer leader must stay where everybody can hear him. Oga, forget that thing. You move because fear they catch you. Wisdom and fear sometimes wear the same shirt. I am not afraid. Meanwhile, outside, Sodiq crouched beside the front tire, and the others watched him through the windows. The phone rang again. He followed the sound and found it trapped above a metal guard beneath the bumper. A piece of red cloth was twisted beside it. He used the wheel spanner to pull the phone free. The screen was cracked, but it was still working. So they climbed back into the bus and entered the door. Tola dried the phone with the edge of her scarf, and she saw several missed calls covered on the screen. Most of them were from one name, Auntie BC. Also, inside the phone, there was an unfinished voice recording. Tola looked at Babagoke. What is this? I don't know. They decided to press play to listen. At first, they heard only rain and the sound of footsteps. Then a young woman's voice came through the damaged speaker. Auntie Bissy, I have left the cemetery now. The rain is becoming too much, so I'm trying to find a bus. Then there was a very loud horn, and the young woman gasped. Tires screeched. Something struck the phone, and for a few seconds, there was only rain. Then the woman groaned painfully. A vehicle door opened. A man's voice said, Jesus Christ. Everybody inside the bus turned towards Babagoke. The voice on the recording was his. The injured woman started to cry. Uncle, please help me. Babagoke closed his eyes. On the recording, his breathing became very fast. Then the woman spoke again. My leg is paining me. Please take me to the hospital. There was another sound. It sounded like someone dragging something across the road. Then they heard Babagoke's voice. Where is your phone? The recording shook. The woman cried out, Please don't leave me here. Then a vehicle door slammed. An engine started, and then the sound slowly faded. The recording continued for another 3 minutes, capturing only rain. After that, Tola stopped the recording. Nobody spoke. Even the rain seemed to have reduced so that the silence inside the bus could settle properly. Smalley turned at Babagoke. You hit a human being? Babagoke was trembling at this point. It was an accident. You said it was a goat. I didn't see her early. Tola leaned forward. She was alive. You left her there. Goke looked at the door. She came out suddenly, but she begged me to help her. See, my papers don't expire. I don't know what I want to do. Mr. Durojaye removed his glasses. So you left somebody to die because your vehicle papers were expired? Babagoke turned angrily. You people do not know what would have happened to me. The police would have arrested me. They would have seized the bus. I have children in school that have not even paid their school fees. Mama Risi looked at him with disgust. The woman you abandoned may also have children waiting for her. Did you stop to think about that? She looked like a younger woman now. She looked young. And that makes it better. Hey, you are a devil. Babagoke covered his face and said, I panicked. Then Smalley moved away from him. You came to the park after hitting somebody and you still loaded passengers. I just wanted to leave the area, my brother. So you carried all of us as your escape plan. Babagoke started to cry. He explained that the accident happened less than an hour before he reached the park. The young woman had been walking near the cemetery when she stepped away from a pool of water and entered the road. His broken headlights had reduced what he could see, so he hit her. The impact threw her towards the drainage. He stopped and found her conscious, but blood was coming from her head. And when she begged him for help, He noticed the phone recording beside her. He became frightened that the recording would expose him. So he collected the phone from her, kicked it beneath the bus, returned to the driver's seat, and drove away. Smalley's face tightened. Where exactly did this happen, Oga? Near the bend before the cemetery. Sodiq looked through the window. This is the cemetery. Hmm? Baba Goke shook his head. No, the real cemetery is not this close to the road. Its gate is farther back. The passengers looked outside, and the rusty gate only stood a few steps from the bus. Tola held up the phone. Perhaps this is not showing us the cemetery. Perhaps it is showing us where she is. Then the young woman's voice suddenly came from the phone again, even though nobody had pressed play. Please, do not leave me here. And then the cemetery gate opened wider. Beyond it, between the graves, an elderly woman in white stood beneath the rain. Her clothes were dry. She lifted one hand and pointed to the left side of the road. Then every light inside the bus went off. Mama Risi screamed and grabbed Brother Titus. Brother Titus screamed and grabbed Mr. Durojaye. Mr. Durojaye pushed the both of them away. Everybody should stop holding me. I am not a life jacket. Smalley switched on his phone torch, and the elderly woman disappeared. Only the open cemetery gate remained. Tola looked in the direction where the woman had pointed. Yes, look, there is a drainage channel on that side. Sodiq nodded. Yes, it continues around the bend. Smalley turned to Baba Goke. You will take us to the exact place. But this bus is not starting. Then you will walk. Baba Goke looked towards the cemetery and shook his head quickly. No. Mama Risi lifted the cooler and said, you have two options. You can walk by yourself, or this cooler can help you begin the journey. Baba Goke then opened the door, trembling. They stepped onto the road, one after the other. As for Mama Risi, she refused to leave her cooler inside the bus. So Smalley stared at her. Mama, are you carrying fried chicken to search for an injured person? I don't trust any of you enough to leave it behind. Yes. Brother Titus held his Bible over his head. That food is becoming an idol. Don't worship it. Mama Risi looked at him. You are free to use your own Bible as umbrella. I beg. They walked along the roadside, using their phones as torches. Baba Goke led them past the cemetery gates towards a sharp bend. The rain had filled the drainage with dirty, muddy water. Tall grass covered parts of it, making it difficult to really see what was inside. Tola called out, Can anybody hear me? But there was no answer, so they continued. Then, after several meters, Sodiq noticed broken branches near the edge of the road. Tire marks had cut through the mud. A piece of red fabric hung from a bush, and Baba Goke stopped. This is the place. Smalley turned on him. You said she fell beside the gutter. Baba Goke pointed with a shaking hand. She landed there. Tola then moved closer, but stopped before entering the drainage. The water was deep and was moving quickly. She called again. My name is Tola. I am a nurse. If you're there, can you hear me? Then a weak sound came from beneath the grass, and everyone froze. Tola called again. Please make any sound you can, so we can hear you. Then something tapped faintly against the metal. Sodiq pushed the grass aside, and the young woman was lying partly inside a concrete drainage channel. One leg was trapped between a broken wooden signboard, and her body had been stopped from entering deeper by a thick branch. One red sandal remained on her foot, which means the other one was missing. Her face was covered with both rain and blood. Tola climbed carefully into the shallow side of the drainage. She's alive! Smalley let out a breath of relief. Brother Titus started thanking God loudly. Tola looked up. Keep your voice down. She has a head injury. Brother Titus lowered his voice immediately. Then Tola checked the woman's breathing and pulse and instructed them not to pull her out carelessly because her neck or her spine might be injured. So Sodiq and Smalley removed the broken signboard from her leg without moving her body. Mr. Durojaya stood on the road with his phone torch, waving at any vehicle that approached. There had been no network throughout this strange journey, but the moment Ola found the woman, her phone rang. All the signal bars had returned. She called the emergency services and explained their location. Baba Goke slowly stepped backwards. Mama Risi noticed. Where you dey go? I just want to bring something from the bus. She placed the cooler down and grabbed his shirt. You will stand here and look at what you did. Then Baba Goke began to cry. I'm sorry. I was afraid. Then the injured woman stared. Her eyes opened slightly. She saw Baba Goke and tried to move, but Tola held her gently. You're safe now. Please do not move. The younger woman whispered. He left me. Nobody answered, and then she closed her eyes again. Within 20 minutes, a road safety vehicle and an ambulance arrived. The police stabilized the young woman's neck, lifted her onto a stretcher, and then carried her away. One officer looked at the damaged phone and then at Baba Goke's boss. He asked Smolly what happened. Smolly pointed at Baba Goke. Please arrest him before the road changes its mind. As the ambulance prepared to leave, an old cemetery caretaker came running from a small building behind the graves. He wore a raincoat and carried a lantern. When he saw the young woman on the stretcher, he shouted her name. Bisola! Tola turned. You know her? The caretaker nodded. Of course, she comes here every week. He pointed towards a newer grave near the gate. Her mother was buried there 3 months ago. She came this evening to clean the grave and to place flowers. I warned her to wait until the rain reduced, but she said her sister was expecting her. Smolly looked towards the grave, and a small photograph had been fixed to the headstone. The woman in the photograph was the same elderly woman they had seen standing in the rain. Ha! Smolly's legs became weak. Brother Titus moved closer to the photograph and swallowed. Ah! That is the woman who pointed towards the gutter. The caretaker stared at him. Which woman? Nobody answered him. The road safety officers arrested Baba Goke and took the statements from the passengers. His bus was impounded and the damaged phone became evidence. Bisola survived, although she needed severe surgery for her broken leg and several weeks of treatment for her head injury. When Smolly heard the news, he left transport work for you people. He started helping his brother sell phone accessories because according to him, phones could ring beneath tables, but they could not carry him to a cemetery 4 times in one night. Ah, it was a lot. 2 weeks later, he traveled past Peace Rest Cemetery during the afternoon. The sun was bright, vehicles were moving normally, and food sellers shouted beside the road. Smolly looked through the window as the bus passed the gate. Then he saw an elderly woman wearing white standing beside Bisola's mother's grave. Sure, the woman was holding one red sandal in her hand. She looked directly at Smolly and smiled. Then she slowly nodded. Smolly turned to call the passenger beside him to show him. But when they looked back, lo and behold, the woman was gone. Only the red sandal remained on top of the grave. Smolly came down at the next bus stop sharp and entered the nearest church. He remained there until evening. When the pastor asked whether he wanted to become a member, he shook his head and said, I only wanted to stay somewhere that doesn't have a boss. Boss has shown me pepper these past few weeks. Bisola later slowly recovered, and Baba Goke served due punishments in prison. The end. And with that, my paddies, we've come to the end of today's story. I hope you loved and enjoyed this funny / horror story, because I really did. As always, remember to subscribe to this channel and get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. Please help me and share this video to everybody you know, okay? Thank you all so much. If you've not liked this video by now, no be so. Oh yeah, help me and like, okay? Like this video, share it, comment, subscribe, all of the good stuff. And see you in my next story. Ngwano. Bye.